right, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen of the interwebs, this is the Beacon Total Value Lock TVL show for today, May 22nd. I'm your host, Chris, co-founder of Beacon DeFi. And we got two excellent guests on the show today. We have Mehdi, co-founder of Exponential.Fi. Exponential DeFi, is that the correct name of the company, Mehdi?
Yes, that's correct.
Wonderful. Good to have you here today. And we also have Paul, FJ, FiatsJudas from Elk Finance and Project Ralph. Welcome. Good to see you, sir. Congrats on the launch on Avalanche. We'll talk a little bit more about that today as well.
Thank you.
So we'll go ahead and jump right in.
Yeah, great to be here.
To our open. And the open right now is talking about what's going to happen next week. Are you guys going to consensus at all in Austin?
One of my team members will be there.
All right, excellent. Are you going, Paul?
Yeah, I'm actually considering it. But I haven't finalized plans yet.
Yeah, I really want to go. Unfortunately, I have some things happening here, off cam that's probably going to prevent me from going. But I want to say that I have links to a party. If you remember that someone's throwing, if you guys want the deets, let me know. Anybody who's there in the chat, if you're going to consensus, if you know of anybody who's going to consensus, then they want to hook up with more people. Obviously, this is a huge networking industry event. This is 10 years of consensus from COINDESK, one of the leading Web3 and DeFi media outlets that is out there. So yeah, there's going to be, it's definitely, in my opinion, a big corporate event. Obviously, there'll be plenty of DeFi and founder protocols there, but just looking at the panel, we got another RFK Jr. sighting. We got Kathy Wood. We got Novogratz. You got Hester Pierce from the SEC, who's going to be there. And then we also have not only Brendan Ike, the founder of Brave Software, and of course, one of the original co-founders of Netscape. We also have Brad Garlinghouse from Ripple, who's also going to be there. So interesting array of people that will be there. Plenty of industry people. And as you can see, the large companies, they'll probably have a booth there. As you can see, a lot of Web 2 companies that will be there. So definitely more of a Web 2-ish type of liaison bridge event. But yeah, if you guys are going to be there, look out for presences from here with Exponential DeFi and also with the fine folks at Elk Finance and Project Ralph to meet up with them. Okay, so let's go into looking quickly at the market. We have a lot to talk about with the market because 48 hours ago we had quite the turnaround back when people were saying, ETH is kind of in the dumps. No idea if there's going to be some sort of, nothing's going to be happening with this ETH ETF. It's not ultrasound. It's not deflationary anymore because of EIP 4844 and we're going to add to the supply. And then suddenly one tweet from one Eric Balchunas, senior ETF editor at Bloomberg, saying that that him and James Scyffart have upgraded to a 75% rate for the ETH ETF based on chatter on Monday. That caused this gigantic move, a tremendous buy the rumor event that saw everything cascading upward. So, gentlemen, I wanted to start here, get your guys' thoughts before we go into the congressional stuff. Obviously, huge news, huge turnaround. Any thoughts on if you think this might be something very interesting? Obviously, the ETF. Well, one thing I want to also point out, tomorrow is when the SEC is supposed to have a decision on the upcoming ETF. So let's start with that. Mehdi, let's start with you. I know you have some thoughts on this.
Yeah, thank you. I think what's interesting here is more like the background. The background is like everybody was saying it's not going to happen, and all of a sudden we see a change from the White House where they move from like the Democrats were the building the anti-crypto army, and now they are looking at crypto as a force in the next election. And so that's really, really a strong thing that's happening and really good for us. Obviously, there is also like in the background as well, the fact that you have the Congress almost like going against the administration and saying that they want some good rules for DeFi. And all of this is obviously bullish. Now, what's going to happen with the price? Do we have like everything priced in already? That's a big question. Is it going to happen? What will happen if it goes, if like the ETF is not approved? Those are like big questions for the price. But all in all, for me, what's most important is changing a change of tone. Looking at the change of tone from the U.S. administration, it's really good.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of pro crypto things this year going into next, and with the ETFs in particular, we'll probably see a growing number of them. You know, Ethereum for sure is going to get approved, so just a matter of when. You know, if not this week, you know, like when. So it'll happen.
Yeah, and what's interesting is that there's already an ETH future market out there. It's been in the Chicago market for quite some time. It's not very popular. We had the ETH ETF go live and approved in Hong Kong on their Hang Seng exchange. Again, not a huge dent. This one potentially could be a much, I think honestly, the fact that it's an election year, this has become more of a partisan or bipartisan issue, probably lends a little bit more credence to a little bit more impact. Interesting timing for ZK Sync and Layer 0, who are planning large airdrops that are going to be coming soon. Off the back of this news should be a much healthier market, more retail interest most likely based off of something like this. And ultimately, if this goes through, we could see some altcoins mooning. I think there could be a lot just better sentiment overall, right? A better market for people to go into. So, you know, I think some people are calling, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Some people are calling for, you know, a high, like 100% jump in ETH, like close to like 4,500 to 6K in some cases. I've seen that in a couple spots in my network. So, I don't know what this holds, but it's definitely a big 180 from where we were a week ago. So yeah, back when, you know, we were thinking that probably wouldn't be very good, but we're seeing some movement now. And but what we're looking at now, you know, going into the next subject is actually we'll continue with this. I forgot to do this, but also the SEC is, you know, asked exchanges to fine tune their ETF filings. This was yesterday. Most likely could be a very good sign. Tomorrow is when that decision is going to come through. So I do think, and again, we've been talking about this overall. Gary Gensler has a terrible track record trying to fight crypto. So, you know, I even saw something, and this one just kind of was almost like a $5 wrench attack in my head, because someone actually wrote, what if Gensler was actually doing all of this on purpose? And he's really been on the side of crypto the entire time just to get people talking about it. And I was like, well, that's not something I ever really considered. I mean, because it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility, because he did teach blockchain technology at Cornell or Harvard or one of the two?
MIT. His course is pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
and
not that he doesn't know.
Online. It's really good.
Yeah. So it's,
well, yeah, it's something to pay attention to there too. Is he was a huge advocate and investor. So the other thing was he was kind of told to do something, in my opinion. So he had to do something. And if you look at their case record, I looked at a few of them, and I mean, there's some really malicious things going on that they had to clean up. And I think that, you know, that's just the dance they do is, you know, with the bigger companies, they know they're not going to try to take them out. Now, what happened with Binance US was, in my opinion, the same thing with BUSD, because it was issued by Paxos. They were just paving the way for USDC and Coinbase, getting rid of the competitor is what it was. Because if you look at the product that Binance.us had, even though it was a lower liquidity, lower trade place in the US, it had superior on and off ramps that weren't as gated and feed. So the fees that Coinbase has are extravagant, and the same with other US exchanges. So, getting Binance US out of there, I used to be able to take go fiat to bank account for like $10, any amount, through a wire from the exchange. Whereas if you do that with Coinbase, it could be around 5% if you want access immediately. So that's it's a lot of money.
And they were well audited. They did, just like Circle, Paxos put out a monthly audit of all the backing. I had no issues with BST, honestly. It was a really well audited platform with regards to their backing and, being very transparent. Yeah. And Paxos, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, yeah, that's definitely true.
And of course, Paxos has moved on because they're behind PayPal's PYUSD. So, but yeah, so moving on to more of the congressional stuff, we have an interesting vote coming, I believe, on Friday. And this is for the FIT21 Act. And this is, in my opinion, we talked about a landmark decision last week with, the Tornado Cash Dev sentence. But I think this one, at least from a U.S. perspective, is going to be really important. FIT21, or the, what's it called? The framework for, I had the title here somewhere. Anyway, it's just called the Financial Innovation and Technology for the 21st Century Act, or FIT21, also known as HR 4763 if you follow C-SPAN or anything like that. They're going to be streamlining crypto regulation across all states. It's also with regards to stable coins, and they're just going to have a general framework. The important part here is that it's defining what is decentralized and what is not decentralized. So if it is a blockchain or something, assets that are from a decentralized network, the regulatory responsibility is now going to go to the CFTC, which is the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, a body that has regularly held that Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other assets are not securities. Whereas the SEC has absolutely been calling them that from the get-go. And the SEC would continue to have that regulatory power over centralized exchanges. So, the Binances, Krakens, Coinbases, Crypto.coms, all of those would still fall under the SEC jurisdiction. But anything decentralized would be under the CFTC. Now, Mehdi, I know you have specific takes on this. You've already kind of talked a little bit about it, previously. But some interesting things that we talked about before we came online is, one thing is that while the White House is opposing, there will not be a veto, most likely, on this if it passes both chambers of Congress.
Yes, the administration already issued this morning a document saying that they will not veto it, and that they look forward to working with the bipartisan House on this. So this is really good. As you said, like the most important part here is like this distinction about decentralization, and basically saying if it's decentralized, if a protocol is decentralized, that mostly means that there is no team behind it once the protocol is out, once it has been built, and it is almost in the public domain. And in that case, it really acts like a commodity. And it acts like somewhere where there is no common enterprise, where people are not using the protocol because of a specific team, because they expect something from other humans. And in that case, then it makes sense to fall under the CFTC. When there is a common enterprise, or when there is a bet that you're making on a team, well, it becomes like, it feels like a security. It feels like you're betting on the team itself. And the SEC has been built actually to put in place in order to solve those questions about all right, if you have a team, what do they need to disclose? What can they do? If people are in the public vote, putting their money based on the trust on that team, what does it mean? And that makes sense to me now, that based on this question of decentralization, if it's decentralized enough, well, it becomes CFTC. If it's not decentralized enough, there is a team behind it, and you go to the SEC. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, before I get to you, Paul, I just wanted to clarify, according to the bill, decentralization means that no single entity within the protocol owns more than 20% of the digital assets. So very interesting distinction. Probably we'll see a lot more push towards decentralizing many things to fit under this 20%. And I think there's going to be some flex on this, honestly. I think that number is not set in stone. So
yes, but that number is very close to the number that most people use outside to define control.
sure.
Even like control of a trust, control of a company is around that 20% single entity. That's just what the world has been using, in a sense.
And that makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. Paul, your thoughts on this, sir?
Yeah, when it comes to decentralization, I think about disrupting current business models. Not that current business models are bad, but like if a product or service or business is heavily centralized and it benefits, selected people solely, mostly, and then everyone else kind of contributes and takes what's given. Sometimes that could be abused and not healthy. So now that you said that, that's really good. And I think that protocols that are decentralized or strive to be decentralized should strive for a vastness of distribution. What we see a lot in the space is when we're building, founders won't want to give up control because they love their project and they somehow feel tied to the success of it, and think that if they maintain control, then they're protecting like the integrity of the project. And so initially, that can be a healthy thing, but again, anything that's not properly decentralized will probably, anything that can be and is not properly decentralized, and that it benefits as many people as possible in the ecosystem versus a selected or a predefined few, then it's going to be up for question anyway. So vastness of distribution of ownership also protects how quickly a protocol can grow, how quick an idea can catch on, because the more user owners and the more people that take ownership over a project and contribute to it, the more they can propel it forward and gain interest and things like that. So yeah, I think that's really good thing. And it sets the framework for how we can move forward as communities and project owners and things like that, and keep decentralizing things.
Yeah, completely agree. Just as a point of context, from the Democratic Party, who does have the, I guess, a slim majority in the Senate, they will not be whipping votes to counter this bill, and there is bipartisan support through multiple moderates that are crypto and also part of the blockchain caucus. You can look up the blockchain caucus in Congress to see which members, both Democrat, Republican, Independent, are a part of policies that support cryptocurrency in the economy moving forward. Just a quick thing, we'll move on to the next couple topics. Speaking of moving things forward, This is unfortunate. Pump.Fun, huge meme coin platform on Solana, which has this is so we talked about this last week. There have been more meme coins minted on Ethereum in the last month than there have been in the last 9 years combined. So Pump.Fun, probably the source of this, as an apology for the breach and the loss of roughly $2 million, 12,300 SOL. They have relaunched Pump.Fun with no fees. Granted, you could launch a meme coin on Pump.Fun for $2. And again, there's no, they don't own the liquidity. It's supposed to be all fair launch. So there's really no risk of rugging from the jump. But this is starting to move to other blockchains. We've talked about this on Solana, not Solana, on Cosmos with Start Cooking, Rug.Fun on Base. And now, as of, I think, 2 days ago, on Avalanche, there's Ignite.Fire, another, meme coin, another meme coin thing. We'll talk about this in Call for Help as well, but just wanted to let everybody know, if you have been using Pump.Fun, because we've talked about it in the past, yes, there was a breach. I don't use the site. The site gives me really heebie-jeebies because it actually has seizure-inducing animations. So not for me. But for those who use it, just be careful. There are a lot of people who've made a lot of money off of this, honestly. Mehdi, I know that you and I have a little bit of a degen heart. So
definitely, but we at Exponential, we like to coin the term degen responsibly.
There we go.
And so, yeah, you can be a degen, but you're still looking for a risk taker, but a rational risk taker is the right way to do it. And I think behind all of these things, it's important to do your research and to look at whether the team behind these protocols and projects, they have the keys to all the money. If they do, then they may get hacked themselves, or they may be actually malignant and take your money. And this is what happens all the time. So at Exponential, what we do is we have this risk framework that looks into the code quality. It looks into whether the team has access to those funds, to look into all the audits that have been done by good auditors. And so that helps for everything related to decentralized finance and when you're investing in pools. When it comes to these protocols that are not in DeFi, we don't cover them because it's out of our scope, but just be careful.
Agreed. Paul, any thoughts about the rise of these platforms? Obviously, you see them quite a bit in your platform.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think they can be good. Like you were saying, DeFi responsibly, seek out safe and gainful experiences. And if you do that, then you learn a lot about crypto and DeFi and how to interact with protocols and what's safe, what's not. You come across community members, you network, and so I think all that could be a very healthy experience. Even if you're losing a few bucks, you're having a good time collecting NFTs, things like that. But again, you just have to be responsible about it, for sure.
Absolutely. And what you should, and obviously degen responsibly, I have the bumper sticker that I got from you guys at ETH Denver. I have it right here on my desk. I just can't seem to find it in my nest of cables. But, I definitely would recommend you all to definitely continue to degen responsibly. Another thing I definitely recommend that you all do is to, check out our free group and like the stream, of course, and, subscribe. We would love that. And also join our free group TVL, the namesake of this show, at school.com/beacon. Sorry, my mouse is starting to bug out. Again, learn from the best in DeFi for free. Home of our top tier, most successful mastermind in DeFi, Beacon DeFi. But our free group, if you want to learn from the best, come and join the hundreds of others that have already done so. School.com/beacon. Again, I want to say thank you to Mehdi from Exponential DeFi, Paul FiatsJudas from Project Ralph, and Elk Finance for joining us today on the panel. Wanted to move on to our next thing because I'm really excited about the next two subjects as a DeFi connoisseur and lover for multiple years in this space. We'll start with someone who we have actually interviewed in the past, and that's going to be Michael Kong from FANTOM Foundation, the FANTOM blockchain. And they are coming up with the new FANTOM Sonic. The current FANTOM iteration, which unfortunately has had its issues, losing half their value in the multi-chain incident with their assets. That is FANTOM Opera, a long-loved blockchain by many that has kind of fallen by the wayside, but they're coming out with a brand new version. This is when Andre Cronje came back. My guess is he was tasked with coming up with the next version of FANTOM, and that's going to be FANTOM Sonic, which is for the most part going to be the fastest chain around, EVM or not, with TPS. Sonic's ability is to process 2,000 TPS is sub-second finality. Of course, they have a very interesting distributed ledger with their Lachesis DVF. I have all of my acronyms probably backwards there, but it is unique and novel technology that FANTOM has there, and they will be slinging it around with what's going to be happening with their new chain, FANTOM Sonic. Not sure when it comes out, but it has all the bells and whistles. It has parallel FANTOM virtual machine. Wow, ZK execution scaling that. Didn't see that when I was looking at this earlier. And looks like simplified staking and liquid staking support. That's interesting. But they are coming out with a new token called S. So if you have plenty of FTM sitting around, I do have a large FTM bag. You can redeem them, I believe, 1-for-1 at some point in the future to migrate over to Sonic. So gentlemen, I wanted to ask, in this day and age, we're talking about a lot of technology from where we had a lot of monolithic blockchains, obviously scaling off of, the original Ethereum virtual machine, where consensus, data availability, and security are all under one stack. Now we're seeing Eigenlayer. Now we're seeing Celestia, Avail, all of these other projects coming through and really just trying to change all that, even with movement, bringing in a Solana virtual machine into an EVM environment to make it all harmoniously sing together. FANTOM is trying to take all of these things and kind of put them into a ridiculously fast blockchain that has a lot of people, at least in my network, very bullish on the future of FANTOM. Any thoughts on this before we move forward? Start with you, Mehdi.
Thank you. I mean, on paper, this all looks amazing. It's the speed
Right.
of video games. It's more than the speed of Solana, and it's on EVM compatible, ZK sync. Like, you have basically everything that's happening in terms of blockchain innovation put together in the same place. Obviously, like, the hard part is going forward. It's about the network effects. A blockchain without users, even if it's the best one, doesn't matter. And so I hope that they have the same muscles as we have seen with Polygon or with Solana, who are able to bring in narratives, bring in developers, bring in people to build on these places. And so that's the biggest question. If they have the right technology, but the technology is not enough, and so they need to be able to build the ecosystem. And I think the reason that the first Opera FANTOM blockchain did not work was this lack of business development, in the sense, unfortunately.
Paul, from a founder perspective, as a protocol builder, what are your thoughts about the ability to move and bridge over to something like FANTOM Sonic and work within those frameworks?
Yeah, it definitely, it'll work. Anything's possible. Building on a lot of this stuff is challenging. Getting it to communicate with each other and why can be even more challenging, and then making it cost efficient, right? Like, even more challenging. So So yeah, and then a lot of the stuff, you know, I wanted to touch on that piece with like the ecosystem and you know, BD stuff. You know, because when you look at why anything will be successful, I think it really does need to harness the essence of decentralization and the movement of, you know, crypto in the first place, the movement of Bitcoin and you know that is for, you know, trustless, basically trustless profit distribution that is all inclusive, you know, uncentralized, so that the power can't be abused. And if they don't get builders building, because you know, user ownership is probably one of the strongest narratives for that, and that's why you have to have things like vast distribution. And so as long you notice, like even in the rewards programs like Phantom had in the past, what you find is, and why it stops working, is because they, you know, the juggernauts that are on chain typically end up with all the rewards. So if you don't have a good way to decentralize profit distribution and make it inclusive, always incentivizing new users and new builders and new protocols, rewarding innovation, things like that, you know, then doesn't matter what the tech's name is or what it can do. People aren't going to build with it because it's not right. It's gonna in some way, shape, or form be abused somehow, or not be inclusive. So that's kind of my take on it.
Yeah, I agree. And you know, as you know, DeFi investors, we're always looking for where the hot ball of money is going to go, right?
Mm.
I definitely, you know, I definitely foresee a lot of builders kind of moving, because if there's one thing that Phantom had, it was a great community of different types of protocols coming together, whether that be, you know, Phantom was the home of Ohm forks or Tomb forks. They had, you know, their own NFT community. You know, if they can find a new way to bring over RWAs and things like this, I think these are all going to be a winning formula, specifically if we start seeing perp dexes move over there for high, you know, high traffic efficient ways to do trading, things like this. I think these are all bullish signs for Phantom Sonic. At least it'll be in the beginning, right? Until, you know, the shine wears off, but hopefully they'll figure out a good way to keep that going. Maybe they can figure out what Arbitrum did to keep people there for a year and a half with incentives. So wanted to do a quick aside before we move over to the next topic, which I think we'll spend a little bit of time on. And that is, if anybody's in the tri-state area over in New York, Andrew is in the air right now, but he actually will be in New York City in Lower Manhattan at the Penn Club tomorrow night, representing Beacon with the Financial Policy Council. They have a little event here at the Penn Club. We did put this out on our communities. If anybody's in the area who wanted to, you know, meet up with Andrew and meet up with several other people here, we're looking to, you know, obviously help support Andrew and other DeFi panelists here, because this is not a DeFi facing group, but they have brought in people for DeFi here. So tomorrow night at the Penn Club, if you're interested, let me know. We'll see if we can get you in as a guest at Beacon along the way. But he'll be there talking on the DeFi side. We do have someone who's there for RWAs and one for NFTs and LPs. So again, thanks to Barry here, who's the CEO of Computronics, who was gracious enough to invite us here to this industry event for financial professionals there in New York tomorrow night. So again, if you are in the area, you can go. Let me know. We'll try and see if we can get you in. But otherwise, business attire, hors d'oeuvres will be served in an open bar. Yay, open bar. Always good for open bar. We'll go and move on to the next thing. So Eric Voorhees, one of my favorite personalities in the space. He was at ETH Denver. I have a link to the talk that he gave at ETH Denver about decentralizing AI. One of my favorite quotes from Eric, and I'm paraphrasing here, is that DeFi was built without using one taxpayer dollar. And that's the beauty of it all. And I think that's why a lot of people, in high spots do not like DeFi. But he did have this wonderful app that, many people have used. I've used it, called Shapeshift. And now he's kind of brought his energy towards decentralizing AI in the Web3 space. And that's where Venice comes in. This is Venice.ai. The website itself is very simple, but the premise of it is basically being able to use prompts. I think they're using NOUS, N-O-U-S, or NOUS, whichever you want to call it, to provide decentralized AI using local storage. So the one thing that they wanted to put here was that the best way to not violate user privacy is to never collect the data in the first place. Just remember, if you're using something like OpenAI, ChatGPT, even things like that are powered by things like Ollama, maybe not Ollama, but Hugging Face, Copilot, all of these, Claude, all of these others that are out there, they are collecting some data, whether to train for models, but they're actually not logging that in the window, according to this. So they're using a distributed, decentralized GPU infrastructure and a proxy to take care of all this using local storage, SSL, no data collection. They do have paid and free tiers. And the idea is here for you to get a premium GPT style experience without the worry of having your data collected. It also is going to be anti-censorship resistant, meaning there's going to be no, nothing to prevent them from giving you information you're looking for. And, that gets some of these other ones that are with companies, with shareholders, into a little bit of a censorship issue, right? They're not going to teach you how to, make some type of explosive, or, how to train a Microsoft AI agent to be completely racist like they've done in the past. That's not going to happen here with Venice. It's just going to be a sandbox that you can use to get the information that you need. So Paul, we'll start with you. Your thoughts on this, because I know your ears kind of perked up when we talked about this before the show started. So I want to get your thoughts on this before we move on to Mehdi.
Sure. I think, anytime things are censored for the wrong reasons, to hide information or to not cause controversy, where maybe there should be transparency and there should be controversy, or it's designed to indoctrinate or surveil, then we need competing technologies that say, no, that's not how this is going to work. And it does, or at least that it doesn't have to work that way, because both technologies could serve a purpose and they both could be right in their own regard. But as long as we have that healthy competition that can raise awareness and make people decide, then people have to make that conscious effort, and they maintain their sovereignty to an extent and free will, but so that's all. That's why I like to see stuff like this.
I love this project. I mean, so far I was thinking like AI is the force of like centralization, and crypto is the force of decentralization. Seeing this put by Eric is really amazing. But I didn't know about Venice until this morning. I just tried it this morning. I usually use ChatGPT sometimes for medical questions. I'm just trying to understand like how does it work, what's the effect of a drug on the body and so on. And most of the time, I get like answers that are like for the general public, that are protected, and I'm like, why isn't it using like the real scientific papers and just tell me the statistics, and I just want to know. And I tried it with Venice. It gives better answers, and so I'm almost like saying, hey, forget about the decentralization. This is actually a better product for answering the questions, and that gives me a lot of hope.
Agree. And you can actually run this locally, if I'm not mistaken. They have a version that can be run locally. So there's that. Yeah, I'm really happy to see this. I'm excited to see just exactly what people are going to do with this, because yeah, people in Web3 and DeFi can be really interesting. So I'm curious to see from a DeFi perspective if there's something interesting that can be built from this, specifically for making. Again, some people use this for like auditing code and stuff like that. I don't think that should be used for this, but I think for maybe pushing paradigms of thought. Again, I'm curious to see how they're going to continue to keep the model fresh moving forward. I think that's something that I definitely want to dig into. But yeah, and it's also available on the web, on your phone as well, and it works really well. I used it over the weekend, and yeah, I mean, I do believe that, I do like everything that Eric Voorhees stands for. I know that he can be a little woo woo for some people, but yeah, the fact that they're making privacy their USP, huge. My personal opinion, that's huge. Instead of just talking about it, they just released it, and that's great. So, seeing how their journey goes, it is built in the ecosystem with Morpheus. Morpheus is a decentralized AI network. They did fair launch their token, which is called MOR, last on the 8th, actually. Yeah, on the 8th. So if you're looking for a project to support, because you love what they're doing here, you can actually get a paid account just by holding a more token, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know how much more, but I think it's just one. But staking or they're holding more helps support their network. So I assume that there's going to be more usage out of this. Aperture, which is a automated liquidity manager that we've been talking about a lot on our calls, also has a decentralized solver network that is supposed to be quote unquote AI or language model based to help solve issues. I do think that this is going to be somewhat in that same vein. So if you're looking for projects to support here in this space, then definitely consider supporting Morpheus, and of course use Venice. Let us know what you think of it. Leave a comment here. Mehdi talked about medical questions that he wanted answers to, which would obviously not get any censorship there, which was great. I could see this definitely for ZKs. Anything that's supported by ZK, like decentralized science was a huge thing at ETH Denver, where you could use zero knowledge proofs. So scientists could post things without bias, without having to dox themselves as well. So I do see more of that information coming in this space as well. And yeah, excited to see what happens with Venice and seeing more about what's going on there. So last thing I'll talk about before we go over to what we learned is about Debank. Debank has released credit. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but you can get a credit score on your profile. So here's the thing. There's identity verification, asset certification, debank behavior, user relationship, and negative behavior that's tied to a wallet, which you have to willingly commit to sharing all of that information about you to get this credit score. What is it going to be used for? I have no idea, but do I really care? No. Am I willing to dox, half my accounts or half my wallets with my Twitter, my Discord, my Telegram handle, and my CEX claim address of choice for this? Absolutely not. This is crazy, in my personal opinion, that we're seeing something like this. That people are willingly, go scan your eyeball if you want. I am shocked that, so the question, we asked this in our community is like, are you going to sign up for this? I'm like, I'll do it for the culture on the demo wallet we use for our courses. But outside of that, no, there's no way I'm sharing any of that data with Debank. Mehdi, we'll start with you. What are your thoughts on something like this? Obviously, this helps clarify solutions.
I'm in line with you. This goes very much opposite to the philosophy of decentralized finance and crypto. I don't know if you know, but like at Exponential, we had the opportunity to build Rate My Wallet in the very beginning of, that's one of the first products we launched. Rate My Wallet takes basically, you put your address or the address of any wallet, and you get to see the risk of your wallet, like the risk
Right.
rating for every one of the pools, and you have all these analytics, and it's really, really cool, to the point where we got like $23 billion assessed through that. So it's like basically half of DeFi wallets went there in terms of TVL. And we were like seeing that, and we were like, hey, this is like really the opportunity for us to take the emails and ask people for the emails. And because it would have been like a great play, growth play. We didn't do that basically because of the same principles of Eric. We were just like, we were like, okay, we just want you to feel safe, feel still anonymous, and we're not going to track you. We're not going to ask you for your email, despite the fact that it's a great thing. And we just wanted to put it out there for the community. And I think like here, I don't know what's the use for that credit. I see what's the use for risk assessment, but and the credit is actually not based on a framework that makes sense, like identity verification and Debank behavior. These things seem to be related to Debank itself. That's unfortunate. I expected more from Debank, to be honest.
Same. Paul, your thoughts, sir?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know what they want to use it for. I think it's going to have to probably go through different iterations, or they're going to have to say, how they're going to have to specify how it can be used and why people should participate, really. But I can't think of a reason not to have anonymity and just utilize a smart contract, because why would anyone want to lend to someone else without a smart contract, really? Right? if you have the assets, then you can take out a loan. You don't. It doesn't. I don't know. Maybe for people in closed circles, but again, you could use like DIDs or something else where you don't have to disclose, everything, or who you are. You can just be verified, right, without having to, announce certain things.
Yeah, it's troubling in my opinion, because, and the one thing too, that this is interesting too, because for anyone who doesn't know, Debank is building a blockchain. There's a bridge, I think, called dBridge, that it's really fast. I haven't used it personally, but I've heard good things. I don't know if I want to use that product if I know that information from there may be used in any of Debank's products. And I say that as a wholesome supporter of Rabby. I believe the quality of life on Rabby and over MetaMask is much better than any other product in the space. But this does worry me. I will be very honest. This does worry me that, I don't want in any way, shape, or form. I mean, obviously this is opt-in, right? So that's the one thing. It's opt-in. As long as they don't impose that on any of their products, then I think it's okay. I mean, I just don't know why anybody would actually want to disclose all of this information. That's just not, as an American citizen, sorry guys, you're not going to know more about me in DeFi. I only do good things. Absolutely. That's just, you don't need to go. Yeah. You don't need to track me that way. That's crazy.
I think, because it leads to discrimination, right?
Yes. Leads to bias.
Yeah.
You can't have that. Not here in this world.
Yeah, no, right. Well, we want to eliminate those things and try to be inclusive so people can benefit, as the idea. But then also we want to protect, from bad actors and bad activities. So it's like, so yeah, they got to do some work on that product.
Yeah.
For sure.
I mean, maybe you should talk to Zach XBT or something like that if you want to find a better way to track Lazarus wallets or whatever is out there. we'll do a quick detour into what we learned, and I wanted to take a minute for you guys to kind of explain a little bit more about your protocols and talk about what you guys do. What anything you want to plug, feel free to do so. So we'll start with you, Mehdi. Feel free to talk about Exponential, what you guys are going for, and of course as one of our partners in this space, on the path to educate and make DeFi more accessible to people.
Yeah. So we started Exponential because friends of mine were coming to me and saying, hey, I want to invest in BlockFi. And I was like, yeah, I mean, great, but I cannot tell you to invest in BlockFi because I don't understand the risk. And on the other side, we had DeFi, which was like transparent. You could understand the risk, you could see everything, but it was actually hard to use. And so we had this gap where like basically DeFi was better but harder to use, and we needed to make it easier to use. And so we built Exponential as the best way, with the problem mission to make DeFi accessible. We got backed by Paradigm in the beginning of 2022, and we have been building two products. The first product we built was just like a risk framework about every DeFi protocol, so people can actually see in an easy way what's the risk of every pool. And so if you go on exponential.fi, you can actually look at more than 500 pools with their page, with their explanation of where the yield comes from, how does it work, does the team behind it have the key, is this decentralized? All of the information is out there for free. And then what we really wanted to build was the one-click invest into DeFi. One-click invest into DeFi, the idea is like it should be as easy to buy Bitcoin on Coinbase as it should be to invest that Bitcoin on a yield pool on DeFi. And so we're basically building a way that in 90 countries and 20 states in the US, you can just like create an account and invest your ETH, your Bitcoin, your stable coins, or your directly from your bank account into DeFi pools.
Excellent. Thank you again so much for joining us today. Thank you for being on the panel. I'm excited to have you on more of these moving forward. Of course, we're going to move on to Paul FiatsJudas from the venerable Elk Finance. We had your partner Shiloh on a couple weeks ago, and yeah, you're here. What's that?
I just said, yeah, I heard.
And I met you in. For anyone who doesn't know the story, I've been using Elk Finance since 2020. So for when I heard you guys, you were one of the first people I met at the ZKM house at ETH Denver, and yeah, it was just such a trip to finally meet people from a product that I've been using for years. So go ahead and talk about Elk and also the recent launch of Project Ralph, your DN404 project on Avalanche.
Sure. So yeah, Elk Finance is a blockchain interoperability protocol. We have over 30 EVMs connected so far, blockchains, so you could build a bridge between any of the chains, no routing restrictions. And then we're building products on top of it that make it easy to use, no code bridge deployments, no code farm deployments, liquidity deployments, which is important. And then we're going to decentralize the network as best we can. So it'll be a decentralized protocol that needs no permission to be used. Anyone can use it. And then to demonstrate the tech, because we have the feature live now where you can build bridges. We've had Elk token bridgeable since 2021. And now Elk is bridgeable across the 30 chains that we're connected to. And then some parts of the community and team went ahead and they launched a project called Project Ralph to demonstrate a bunch of different technologies collectively and then to show how ElkNet can power that and make it cross-chain, which inscriptions, DN404, and being a meme, being multi-chain, that's pretty robust. If you get behind like having to keep track of what the inscriptions are, and then what NFTs are where, what tokens are where, on what chain. And so the bridge for Ralph is going to launch. It'll be the first token. Well, there's been a few tokens, some devs that just don't have any UIs. They just interact with like code and smart contracts and things. There's a few different bridges built with ElkNet, but as far as like mainstream, if you remember, so a good way to think about it is, if you remember multi-chain, the bridge, any swap, yeah. So they made it real easy for users to deploy a very simple bridge, which ended they didn't really protect the public, but thousands and thousands of coins. They generated a lot of fees, they generated a lot of revenue, they made a lot of money. So yeah, so anyway, we Project Ralph will show the tech probably within the next week or so. There'll be a PR bridge, a PR coin bridge. So and so
That's awesome.
ELK.finance is gonna, yeah, it's pretty cool. Similar to like Layer 0 or Axler, except ELK hasn't had any VC funding or anything like that. We're all grassroots, building from the ground.
Beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Excited for more for your BaaS, your Bridge as a Service, and would happy to promote any of that and have you back on to promote that when you guys go completely live with a lot of that. So if you're curious about a DN404 experiment, I'm disclosing that I didn't get it on Avalanche, but I am on base for PR. It's been a busy week. Unfortunately, I forgot about the launch, but yeah, I am also an LPer on ELK.finance for RP, which is I'm sorry, PR, which is Project Ralph.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Least I could do. You guys have helped me get from all kinds of blockchains over the years. So always good to to meet up with you guys, and looking forward to more. So thanks for being here. We're gonna go and move on to our call for help section. And again, thank you guys so much for being here, and look forward to having you guys on future panels. So definitely check out their websites, guys. We'll have all of that in the show notes in the description after the show has aired. So the last thing we'll talk about today is our call for help question, and it's from Shell. And thanks for the question, Shell. And again, this is our Q&A segment. Again, we would love to answer all the questions that you have. If you have a question, feel free to reach out to us, whether it be on TVL, if you're in our mastermind, of course, through our Discord, any way that you want us to reach out, even a comment here. Would love for you to do it that way. Question is, my friends have been telling me about all these types of cryptos I should be buying. How do you even figure out where to buy it and how? So, gentlemen, I'll have you here just in case if you have an additional tips that I have that you have to add to the answer. But I actually have some forthcoming content on this exact subject. So if anybody in our listening audience, if you know anybody who might be interested in how to purchase crypto that you hear about on XY Avenue, let me know. Looking to definitely have maybe even a course, or definitely at the very least a boot camp on how to get through that. So if you know anybody who'd be interested in that, let me know. Would love to hear that feedback. So there's a couple of ways to do this. It depends a lot on what the type of coin is. And what I mean by that is that not all coins are minted equally. When we talked about what we talked about last week, more meme coins have been minted in the last month than the last entire 9 years. In fact, I think there's like 10 to 20,000 coins minted on Pump.Fun on Solana alone, daily. So, you know, if you're a DGen, you can go to Meteora, have fun with that. Not financial advice, do your own research. So if someone tells you about a coin that they've found, and unless it's unbelievably brand new, you're going to have to learn how to do some research. So that's what this little section is going to be about today. So if you're going to be doing research, definitely find a Telegram group that you trust, a Twitter following for that project, or find a Discord to verify the information. Why? Because there are a lot of copies of different coins. Otherwise, if it's a coin that happens to be something that's available, then the best place that I look at, and I love CoinGecko, but honestly, CoinMarketCap, which is, if I'm not mistaken, owned by Binance, has just better tooling for this. And for example, one coin that I've talked about a lot is TON, and that's TON coin from the Open Network, which is from Telegram. My goodness, I should have bought more TON yesterday, but as you can see, it's doing pretty well here. But if you want to learn more about how to get TON, there's a couple ways to do it. The best way I would recommend for you, again, not financial advice, do your own research. Click on markets. These are the markets that are available.
I could hear you, Chris, until you muted.
Can you hear me okay?
I can, yes.
Hold on. This is always fun when it happens live. All right. I think, can you hear me?
I can.
Can you hear me, Betty?
Yes.
Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Okay, cool. So, we're here on TON coin. So you have a couple different options. Now you can get this also on CoinGecko. Just want to show that for the audience. So if I go to CoinGecko and I type in TON, I can just click on TON coin here. And then they also have something for markets that's available. If I click on right here where it says markets, you can come down and see what are the markets you can buy them. Now the difference between this and CoinMarketCap is they just give you a varied version of, you know, different CEXs. They don't actually give you a filter. Whereas they do on CoinMarketCap. You can either just go with the sexes, the CEXs, or you can go with the DEXs. Now, thankfully for TON coin, it's available on multiple different centralized exchanges. If you're a US resident, BingX is probably the only one you could probably get to, maybe MEXC. But outside of that, none of these are really going to be a way for you to get to it unless you have a digital ID from Palau or something like that, which I'm not advocating for. But DEX wise, you can find them where they're going to be in DeFi. As you can see, if I just click on DEX, we have a couple different places you can buy them. You can buy them here on Binance Smart Chain if you're looking for a low fee place to buy, because obviously Ethereum you have to pay a lot more for gas. That would be the place to go. Looks like we have a couple different places here to buy it, and most of them are on BSC or Ethereum. So when we're looking at that, that tells me that that's where that's going to be. Now that we know that, you know, you have a choice. If you want to buy it on CEX, you have places to do that. But if you want to buy it in DeFi, now that you have this list, there's a third place you can go before you get started, and that's to Dex Screener. And that's dexscreener.com. And Dex Screener started out as really just an index for decentralized exchanges. So you go to a blockchain and they tell you exactly what DEXs are available. That has changed now. It's become a bit of like just a centralized, not a centralized, but just a hub to find information about coins. So for example, if I just click on this magnifying glass in the upper left, and I just type in TON, now that we know that there are DeFi markets to get it from, that'll try and hopefully get us TON here. Now, if this is taking a little bit too long because there's a lot of TON coins to go through, what we also can do is come down here over to the contract section. And this is what I should have done from the beginning. Grab the token address or the contract address for the token. This is the one for Ethereum. They have others. So there's BNB and they also have it on TON, the actual chain. There's an actual blockchain, but that's outside the scope of this right now. We'll just copy to the clipboard, come over to the DEX. And what you'll do is you'll just copy, you copy that, and then you'll just paste that address there. And now you have all of the places that have liquidity for that specific coin address, which is what we're looking for. So what we're looking for is which has the best liquidity. Why? Because there's the least amount of slippage and price impact, that you'll get a fairly one-to-one range for what you're looking for. So outside of that, you choose whichever one you want to go to, and then it says here, like I said, Toncoin available on Ethereum mainnet. That's the blockchain logo. This is the DEX. Uniswap. If we look here, most of these are Uniswap pools. There's a couple others, like this is Pulse Chain, which we're not going to go to. And it looks like, so it's just Ethereum. It's just Ethereum. So what we're going now to do is we need a decentralized exchange. Now, it says Uniswap here, but generally we don't recommend Uniswap. Why? Because if you go to Uniswap itself, you're going to pay fees. That's part of their DEX model. They're generating a butt ton of fees every day. If you want to save on that, well, we tell our group, whether you're in our free group or in our mastermind, go to DeFi Llama Swap, which is swap.defilama.com. And then what you'll do is you can then go here and then swap here. And again, we'll put in the token address. We still have that copied. As you can see, it's Toncoin, wrap Toncoin. And then you'll get not only the best rate for the amount that you're, let's not go with 10 ETH. Let's just go with, obviously we don't even want 1 ETH. Let's just go with point, even just $20 worth, right? This will give you the best rate with the best gas fees, which is very important, right? When it comes to Ethereum mainnet, because gas is expensive on Ethereum mainnet. So use DeFi Llama Swap if you want to do that. You'll get the best rate. You don't have to worry about paying the Uniswap front end fee. And oftentimes, so the reason we like DeFi Llama Swap is that each of these providers are DEX aggregators, meaning they take different routes from different decentralized exchanges and get you the best rate. What Llama Swap does is it consolidates that and gives you the best of the best when it comes to aggregation. So all of these are aggregators. This is the best of all of those. So that's why we like it. That's why we like it for swapping any coin across any of the supported blockchains that we have here, which are the large majority of all of the major EVM layer 1s and layer 2s. So that's the best way to buy that. Otherwise, if it's something that's supported on CEX and you have access to do so, buy it on a CEX. Mainly because not only you're saving on gas, but in some cases, depending on the coin, you may not be able to do much with it other than hold it. So if you want to be on a platform, like if you're on crypto.com, for example, and you don't want to do anything but hold it, maybe it's best to do it there. But if you buy it here, you can then, ferry it off to a cold storage wallet after that as well. So your keys, your crypto. So 2 different ways to do it. Gentlemen, any other tips that you want to give on this particular process that you think may or may not be helpful? Looks like we lost Paul.
I think you got it. That's the right way to do it. I use the same tool.
My stream might be rugged. Oh, there we go. Looks like
I use the same tools, so you got it.
Excellent. Perfect. Yeah. So if anybody's ever asking, how do you buy that coin? The first question you have to ask is, where did you get the information? Let's recap there. Where did you get the information? Because ultimately, so many copies of coins, you want to make sure you get the right one. I would use Dex Screener. Another one you can use is Bird Eye, to check that out as well. That cover multiple blockchains, and then you can purchase them from whatever decentralized exchange. This is for EVM chains at Llama Swap. If you're going to be using Solana, because that's where a lot of meme coins come from, just use Bird Eye, just use Jupiter. You'll get the best experience there. So unfortunately, we did lose Paul in there. But again, Mehdi, I wanted to thank you so much for your time. Any last things you want to plug for Exponential before we head home?
No, not at all. Thank you so much, Chris, for having us. This is awesome. It's always great to talk to the DeFi community. And yeah, if you want to learn more about Exponential, there's exponential.fi, or you can also find us on Twitter at exponential.defi. And
we'll have all that information that's around. So again, thanks for joining us today. Again, if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out. Looks like we have a question from Dr. Raphael Severa. Good to see you, Raphael. Best platform to stake all of that for high API and where airdrop rewards? Now that's a question. Eh.
So on Exponential, you get to stake your ETH very easily, but it is a custodial and KYC platform. But you get like also to look at the best pools. I think if you're looking and without having to pay gas fees, you just pay a transaction fee of 20 basis points. So that's very interesting for even the DeFi pros. People who use Exponential, they don't go back. Now, if you are just looking for how to do it yourself, on Exponential at the bottom of the page, you can go and look at all the pools that exist in DeFi that we have rated. And based on the chain that you want, based on the assets that you have, and the asset exposure that you want to have, you will be able to find the best pools and the highest yields. And there is something that's special on Exponential, which is like the fact that we actually look at the yield and calculate it ourselves. So most of the yield out there is verified yield, which is like really good.
Excellent. Yeah, with regards to the only one I don't have a good answer for you here is going to be XRP, because there are specialized XRP staking solutions there. If you have native BTC, native ETH, your best, actually just native BTC, your best bet is probably going to be on Thorchain, because you can actually connect your Bitcoin wallet directly to Thorchain and use their saver vaults, which at the time of this recording could or could not be full. So there's that. Otherwise, you're dealing with Bitcoin L2s, and none of them are native BTC. So you're gonna have to wrap BTC assets there, and you can use a service like anything from BitGo, anything from Threshold. That would be a thing. ETH, you have plenty of places to stake. You can check our Beacon Farming Spotlight, which is available, full version on the Mastermind, but for free we have it on our Total Value Locked in our community. So again, check it out at school.com/beacon. And again, thanks so much again for joining us today, Mehdi, and also to you, Paul. I know you're kind of coming in and out. Pardon me. We'll be back next week, 1 p.m. Eastern, here on our YouTube channel with a new panel and more voices. So we'll see you guys next time. Take care. Have a great day. And let's go DeFi. Big vote tomorrow. Big vote on Friday. Tomorrow, SEC decision. So maybe go out and buy some ETH. See what's out there. Take care. See you all later. 07. Take care, everybody. Stick around for a second, Betty.